This tutorial is a demonstration of DBX Restore utility. And the Restore has some interesting features to it. First of all, it can be a restore, it can be a clone. In this particular case, if we were to restore this straight to the cluster we just backed it up from, there's going to be server name and port name conflicts because the same database server name cannot be copied to another one with the same name, and they both can't have the same port. Also, one of the handy features of a restore is that you can create the restore configuration file directly from the backup configuration file that you used. So let's go ahead and do that and then try to run the restore. The restore template was created from the backup template. And had we changed anything in there, we would see it changed. These are not exactly the same, though they have much of the same parameters. In this particular case, we have port put in here. If we want to specify a brand new port, it will use the new port. And the server name, what will happen is it will search for this whatever server name we put here. And if we don't have any backups for that server name, we'll get nothing back. Also, another thing to know about this is the object subdirectory. You'll notice when we backed up, it was called test-88. If we left that null, it would look at the very highest level and show us all the backups underneath the entire directory structure. But if we set it to test-88, it will only show us the backups that occurred under that. And we do need to have the credentials in here as well in order to be able to read the object store for any object store environment. And let's go ahead and do a restore. And we will leave the existing server there to show you what it looks like when you do a restore with the existing server name. So what we're seeing here is this is within the test88 subdirectory. And so there are two, one that was older, one that we just did. And let's say we wanted to restore this older one. So let's go ahead and do that. And also, this is where you could delete. We could delete one of these if we want. In this case, we're going to choose R for restore. So this gives you the ability. And you can see it's basically told us the server name already exists. So we're going to give it a new one. Call it A. And it's going to say that the port name already exists. We'll give it a new port. And that's all. Now it goes off and it will restore it. And in this particular case, the node set NSVX4 already exists. If it didn't already exist, then it would go ahead and create it. It would map the virtual nodes, all 16 of them, to whatever physical server you had. Okay, so now we're looking at the backup restore summary after it finished. And again, the first thing you notice is this green success. And what we see here is the summary of things that we're used to seeing. You would see the name here, the description, had you put one in and changed it. You get a good summary here as to the object store download. Again, you see the number of splits and how many might have failed or possibly any retries. And in order, we can verify that it's there. We have to start it up. And then we open up the command line tool. We take a look. The database is there, the tables are there. And we can start doing operations on this database. The cloning becomes a very obvious thing. Obviously, once you've backed it up, you create a new cluster. All you do is restore onto that new cluster. But there are issues to think about when you're cloning. A couple of things might be different. First of all, the number of physical nodes that you're restoring on might be different from the system that you backed up on. In fact, that's part of the strength of what we can do here is actually scale the size of the system using this feature. But you need to consider what happens when you do that. You need to consider that you have a certain number of virtual nodes, and they will automatically get spread out among the physical nodes. And if, say, we had, in our particular case, 16 virtual nodes, we need to understand that we really want a balanced cluster. So, of course, we want an even number of nodes, and it better be, in this particular case, 1, 2, 4, 8, or 16. 6 wouldn't work so well, 10 or 12 wouldn't work so well. We'd have leftovers. And it would work, it would create it, but then it would be imbalanced and the system performance might not work as well as you wanted because some physical nodes would be working harder than others and they would remain idle. The second part to think about is the cache settings. The server has cache settings, and there's another tutorial to show you how to do that. And in order to make sure that we use the cache efficiently and effectively, the database is using 2/3 of the cache memory. If the new system has a lot more memory than the old system or a lot less memory, then these cache settings will need to be modified. So these are the kinds of things you need to think about if you're going to do a clone. It's an exciting possibility and a trivial thing to do, but only a couple of things to think about. You can check the DBX backup utility documentation for more details.